Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Source. MLB Friday, coming off a solid Thursday. It was actually a break-even Thursday, but the bet of the day hit, and it was plus 150, which was a real nice cash for everyone. It was Rocky's first five money line. We're moving on to Friday, 15 games, a ton to go through, so let's dive into it.
Welcome to The Source. The Source. Hey, get the Source.
First up, Texas at Tampa. Battle for the AL crown here. These are the two best records in the AL. Andrew Heaney pitching against Tyler Glasnow. Tampa opens up as minus 175 favorites. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, 6-1 Rangers after 5 innings. Final score 7-1 Rangers. Well, for starters, we're talking about the Rays at home. Really tough to fade that. Look at these Tampa offensive numbers at home over the last 30 days. Second in OPS and WRC+. Actually, they're second to Texas. But this game's in Tampa, so the Rangers' batting numbers at home aren't really relevant. The point is, Tampa's bats at home have been an absolute problem this entire season. Now let's switch it up from the Rays numbers at home. Let's look at the Rays numbers against left-handed pitching because Andrew Heaney is starting for Texas. Surprise, surprise, still elite. Second in WRC+ and OPS again. Second to the Dodgers, by the way, in case you were wondering. Now, I guess if you're a Rangers fan, you can isolate the numbers to the last 14 days, and the Rays numbers against left-handed pitching do drop a little bit. Instead of top 3, they're looking at like top 10, top 11 in these offensive categories. Still solid, but a little bit of drop in production, I guess. That's pretty thin, though. But speaking of good news for Rangers fans, look at Andrew Heaney's numbers in his last 4 road starts. I mean, these are absolutely elite. A 1.82 ERA, a 167 opponent batting average. Heaney's having himself a nice little season so far on the road. But here's the thing, I kind of call bullshit on those numbers. I mean, look closely at those road starts. At Baltimore, this is not the Baltimore Orioles lineup of last year. They're not hitting lefties well, and we'll get to that in a little later in the video. In the last 30 days, Baltimore's nearly bottom 10 in every category against lefties. At Oakland, at Seattle, they're no threat against lefties. And at Houston, another lineup where Houston's a lot more dangerous at righties than they are against lefties. So yeah, Heaney's got great numbers in his first 4 road starts of the season, but this is the first real road test for him. And I think the Rays bats are going to give him a serious wake-up call. On the other side, we got Tyler Glasnow, and this just makes betting this game so hard. Because he did look great in his last start, but it was against a seriously slumping Boston Red Sox lineup. And he still only made 2 starts this entire season, coming back from that huge injury. He had 2 huge injuries, actually, so I just don't fully trust him yet. One thing I will say about the Rangers bats, though, the production definitely falls off a little bit when you look at their road numbers. At home, they're the hottest lineup in baseball. Yes, even hotter than Tampa. But on the road, they drop down to a top 10, top 11 lineup. Similar to the Rays against lefties when you isolate it to the first 14 days. Texas just does a lot more damage at home. So I can't believe I'm considering fading the Rangers here with these Andrew Heaney road stats, but I think the best angle here is to go Rays first 5 run line and lay the half run at minus 115 next game. D-backs at Tigers, Merrill Kelly pitching against Michael Lorenzen. Line opens up Arizona minus 140. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. Heavy lean on the under here. First 5, we're looking at 1-0 D-backs. Final score, 2-0 D-backs. This is definitely a bit square, but how do we not like the first 5 under here? Merrill Kelly's been absolutely dominant on the road this year. 4-0, 1.63 ERA, and a 1.05 whip. He's now set to face a Tigers lineup where I've been saying this for 2 days. The Tigers lineup has just fallen off, especially against right-handed pitching, 29th in WRC plus, 30th in isolated power, 29th in average. I mean, this lineup is almost as cold as the Cubs against righties. Not quite, but almost as cold as the Cubs. And on the fact that the Tigers bats are terrible lifetime off Merrill Kelly, just 5 of 30 with a 433 OPS. I think this is a perfect spot for Merrill Kelly to just continue his dominance on the road. On the other side, it's Michael Lorenzen, and he's really caught his groove. He's having a great year over his last 6 starts. Lorenzen's posting an elite 1.83 ERA, 2.12 WOBA, and an 0.76 whip. He's pitching his ass off right now. Now, he hasn't exactly been pitching against the strongest lineups, but nonetheless, he's dominated. And he now finds himself in his best spot at home against a D-backs lineup that regularly starts left-handed bats. Over his last 3 home starts, Lorenzen has dominated lefties, 177 WOBA, 071 WHIP, 266 FIP against left-handed bats. So he has really owned lefties at home. And the D-backs offensive numbers have really dipped against righties in the last 2 weeks. You remember about a week and a half ago, I was praising this team against righties. Look at the last 14 days, just 17th in isolated power, 17th in WRC+. I think Lorenzen deals here. I like the spot for him. I really think he holds the D-backs to 2 or less runs over the first 5 innings. Now, Arizona's been ripping bullpens apart, so I'm going to stick to the first 5 like I said. You can get the first 5 under 4.5 at -118 on Barstool. If that's still there in the morning, I'm going to take it. I'll let you know on the live show what the final decision is next game. Mets at Pirates. Tyler McGill pitching against Rich Hill. Mets open up as -135 favorites. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 5-3 Pirates. Final score 7-5 Pirates, so a nice lean towards Pittsburgh there. Well, we got to start with Tyler McGill's numbers on the road because holy shit, man. 6.08 ERA, 4.04 WOBA, 2 home runs per 9 inning, and a 2.03 WHIP. That's really, really bad. Now, to be fair to McGill, he's definitely pitched against some tough lineups. The Dodgers, the Giants, the Rockies. These are tough lineups to pitch against if you're a righty. But these numbers are so bad that you can't really excuse them. Now he pitches against a Pirates lineup that's low-key smashing righties right now. This came out of nowhere. On the last 14 days, look at this. Pirates are second in WRC+, first in isolated power, first in WOBA over the last 14 days, like I said. Pittsburgh doing most of their damage against bullpens, to be fair. But with the Pirates remaining at home with a day off after losing a season to Oakland, I think it's safe to say they come out hot here. On the other side, we got Rich Hill, who he busted my Cardinals bet in his last start. He's always known to be worse at home, though. We can say that. Just look at these splits here. But I think he could do just enough against a Mets lineup that's just really nothing to be scared of if you're a lefty. On the season, New York's just 20th in WRC+, 19th in WOBA, and 26th in hard hit rate against left-handed pitching. Against Rich Hill lifetime, the Mets bats are batting just .205 with a .595 OPS, and that's through 42 plate appearances. And if we take a look at the bullpens here, it's kind of a wash. Both of these bullpens have definitely been struggling. But you got the Pirates coming off a day off. Their 4 strongest arms have had 2+ days off. Meanwhile, the Mets bullpen is completely gassed coming off that extra inning loss to the Braves last night. And that's another thing. The Mets are coming off an emotional series off their division rival where they got swept. This team is just not in a great place mentally right now. Pirates are well rested. I really like Pittsburgh here at the plus money. Give me the Pirates money line plus 105 next game. Dodgers at Phillies. Michael Grove pitching against Ranger Suarez. This one opens up as a pick'em, -110 across. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. After 5 innings, we're looking at 8-3 Dodgers. Final score 10-6 Dodgers. This may be a bit of a reaction to the awful performance I just watched from the Phillies earlier today. They did end up coming back and winning. They beat the Tigers 3-2, but they were dreadful. Sure, Michael Grove is pitching for the Dodgers, but look at these numbers from Philadelphia over the last 30 days. These are their offensive numbers at home. What are we scared of here? They're towards the bottom of the league in almost every single important offensive category. So even if you're like, yo, Kyle, I really don't trust Michael Grove on the mound in this one, man, I just watched Reese Olson mow through the Phillies bats in Citizens Bank Park just a few hours ago. On the other side, we got Ranger Suarez pitching for the Phillies, and here's something positive I can say for the Phillies. Thank God, it looks like Ranger Suarez has gotten himself together. His first 3 starts were looking really bad. But look at the splits here for his first 3 starts and his last 2 starts. 9.82 ERA drops to a 1.98 ERA in his last 2. So maybe I could possibly get behind Ranger Suarez, but then you take a look at the Dodgers' recent numbers against lefties, and there's just no shot. Look at these numbers. A .632 slugging percentage. This is over the last 30 days. An OPS over 1,000 as a team. A 166 WRC+. All those numbers are first in Major League Baseball against lefties in the last 30 days. The Dodgers are annihilating left-handed pitching. I honestly don't even care what the bullpen numbers say. I'm taking the Dodgers here. At a pick'em, definitely. Probably split my money in half. Go half on Dodgers money line, half on Dodgers -1.5, which is at plus 155 as I'm recording this next game. Royals at Orioles. Daniel Lynch pitching against Tyler Wells. Baltimore opens up as pretty heavy favorites here, -170. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got a slight lean on KC here. After 5 innings, 2-1 Royals. Final score 3-2 Royals. So we'll lean on the under and on Kansas City. So Daniel Lynch is pitching for KC, and throughout his career, he hasn't been great. You heard me talk about that in the video last time he started. And he now faces a Baltimore lineup that he went 0-2 against last year in 2022 with a 6.00 ERA and a 188 whip. So we got to back Baltimore here, right? Well, hold on. Despite the surface level numbers, I think Lynch has actually looked pretty solid in his first 2 starts this year. He faced the Nats team that was crushing lefties, held them to just 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings of work with 6 strikeouts. Then in his next start, he gave up 5 runs to the Rockies in the first inning, right? Hear me out. Gave up 5 runs in the first inning, but there was a few bloop singles in there, and there was a horribly crucial fielding error in there as well. And how did he respond to giving up 5 runs in the first inning? Well, the next 4 innings, he allowed just 2 hits, a walk, and struck out 6. He's got a 222 FIP, which suggests he's definitely had a bit of bad luck. I really don't hate this spot for Lynch at all. Now, check this out. Are you ready for some numbers that'll really make you question your faith in the Baltimore Orioles lineup right now? So in last 30 days against lefties, Orioles are just 24th in WRC+, 22nd in WOBA, 20th in isolated power. That's against lefties. If you remember last year, that's what the Orioles were doing. They were crushing lefties. That is not the case this year. Against lefties at home on the season, 24th in WRC+, 23rd in WOBA, 18th in average. Again, no danger at all to lefties. The last 3 lefty starters to face Baltimore, Andrew Heaney, Cody Bradford, and Logan Allen, they combined for a 121 whip and a 142 ERA. That's concerning because Andrew Heaney had terrible career numbers against Baltimore, still went in there and dealt. I don't think it's that crazy to say that Daniel Lynch could pitch himself a great game here. Now, on the other side is Tyler Wells, and he's been an absolute beast, no denying that. He's 2-0 in his last 2 starts against Kansas City, but he's worth noting that in those 2 starts, he's 2-0, but he's a 5.25 ERA and a 2.25 home runs per 9 in those 2 starts. Also, his worst split has been at home against left-handed bats, which is notable because Kansas City regularly starts 6 lefties. 317 WOBA and a 416 FIP. So the numbers aren't terrible, but I thought it was worth mentioning that 6 lefties in the Royals lineup, and it happens to be Tyler Wells' worst split. Regardless, does that even matter when we're talking about the Royals lineup? I mean, sure, they're 10th in WRC+ versus righties in the last 14 days, but most of that damage came at home in Kansas City. On the road versus righties in the last 30, they're 28th in WRC+. Bottom in the league in most offensive categories. I really don't feel comfortable taking Baltimore at this price tag. Both bullpens have been struggling, so I'm looking under here. I'm going to probably stick to the first 5, though. As of right now, I'm thinking first 5 under 4.5. I'll let you know if that changes on the live show next game. Red Sox at Yankees. Garrett Whitlock pitching against Garrett Cole. Yankees open up as pretty slight favorites here, -130. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. After 5 innings, we're looking at 3-1 Red Sox. Final score, 3-1 Red Sox. Well, I feel like the best place to start in this one are these Aaron Judge numbers because they're really eye-opening. I did not expect them. I mean, I knew it was going to be pretty significant. I wasn't expecting this. So Yankees with Aaron Judge in the lineup, 30-19, great record. Not the best batting average, but 10th in OPS, 6th in slugging percentage. Solid numbers, certainly a top 10 offense with Aaron Judge on the field. Now look what happens if we isolate the Yankees games that were played without Aaron Judge on the field, and they become possibly the worst lineup in baseball. Dead last in batting average, 29th in OPS, 26th in slugging. This is arguably one of the worst lineups in baseball without Judge in it. It almost makes the Yankees an auto fade, honestly, even with Garrett Cole on the mound. And speaking of Garrett Cole, check out this graphic right here. Through his first 4 home starts at Yankee Stadium this season, he was looking like the AL Cy Young Award winner. He's definitely come back down to earth a bit. His ERA goes from 0.79 to 4.34. His whip almost doubles. His FIP more than doubles. I'm not saying I don't trust Garrett Cole anymore. I'm not saying that at all. He's still having a good season, but his last 2 starts were definitely rocky. And if we can't count on the Yankees lineup to give him run support, how can we really lay -150 juice with this guy? But at the same time, do you really trust the Boston Red Sox bats right now? I mean, I don't. Look at their numbers against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days. Bottom 10 in basically every offensive category. Even if you don't trust the Yankees bats, which I don't, how many runs can you really count on the Red Sox to put up on the road against Garrett Cole? So I don't feel entirely comfortable betting Boston either, so I was thinking under, and then I looked at the recent bullpen numbers, and I knew I had to bet under. Yankees bullpen has been insanely good. Top 5 in every major category recently. And look at Boston. Even the Red Sox bullpen has been producing. So I can't believe I'm saying this in a Yankees-Red Sox game on a Friday night, but I'm thinking under here. The total's down at 8 for a reason, so I'll take under 8 next game. Twins at Blue Jays. Sonny Gray pitching against Mr. Kikuchi. Toronto opens up as a very slight favorite here, -115. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. After 5 innings, we got a 5-3 lead on the Twins. Final score 5-5, so no lead on the side from the final score. So we got Sonny Gray on the mound, definitely having a dominant season. Certainly hasn't been very dominant in his last 4 starts, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still a beast, but definitely a noticeable drop-off in production. You can argue that it's because he hit the roughest part of the schedule so far, at Dodgers, Giants, at Astros, and then against a suddenly hot Cleveland line. Well, let's not say suddenly hot, a suddenly better Cleveland lineup, let's say that. But it certainly doesn't get easier now. I mean, Toronto is a nightmare place for a right-handed starter to pitch. Look at the Blue Jays numbers against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days. 3rd in average, 2nd in OPS, 3rd in slugging, 2nd in WRC+. The Blue Jays are absolutely smoking right-handed pitching right now. I like Sonny Gray, but I don't know how much I like him in this spot. So I definitely want to back these red-hot Toronto bats right now. Not gonna lie, I'm a little worried about Kikuchi. Take a look at his numbers recently. Definitely a drop off in production. Another pitcher who started off the season really hot. It's been fading recently. Look at Kikuchi's last 3 home starts. 176 whip, a 7.97 FIP. That's crazy high. Now, I should mention that his expected FIP in those 3 starts is a 4.95. Some people like these numbers, some people don't. I normally wouldn't even mention it, but when we're talking about 3 whole runs lower, from a 7.97 to a 4.95, that usually indicates that he had a lot of really bad luck to get those bad numbers. But moving on, still talking about Kikuchi here. Honest question, do the Twins bats scare you right now? Look at their last 6 games. They've scored a combined 7 runs in those 6 games. Yes, just about 1 run per game. This offense has completely disappeared without Buxton in the lineup. They're batting 191 as a team in their last 6 games. And even if you're like, yo, Kyle, 6 games is way too small of a sample size. Okay, I respect that. Let's look at the Twins numbers from the last 30 days against left-handed pitching. Doesn't really inspire much hope. I mean, 21st in slugging percentage, 18th in OPS, bottom half of the league in almost every single offensive category. So just when I decide that I like this spot for Kikuchi and I don't trust the Twins bats and I really want to hammer Toronto, I have one last thought. You know what? Why don't I go check Kikuchi's career numbers against Minnesota? He pitches in the AL. I'm sure he's pitched against this team more than a couple times. And holy shit, the Twins' lifetime are career 20 of 56 off Kikuchi. That's a 356 average, a 607 slugging percentage, and a 997 OPS. Good Lord. I'm not going to let it scare me off Toronto. I'm still taking the Blue Jays at this price. Moneyline -115, -120. This team might be the hottest in baseball. I got to do it. But that being said, I'm definitely a little scared of those Kikuchi numbers. I also might bet the over in this game at 8.5. I can really see the slumping Twins lineup grabbing 2 or 3 off Kikuchi. So at a low total of 8.5, I might bet Toronto moneyline and the over next game. Astros at Guardians. Christian Javier pitching against Logan Allen. Astros open up as very slight favorites here, -125. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, after 5 innings, we're looking at 4-1 Astros. Final score 5-3 Astros. So mad I didn't bet Cleveland last night. If you watched the live show yesterday, I said on there, I like Cleveland, but I don't know if I'm going to bet them with the -135, -140 price tag. I ended up not betting them, and what do you know? They win. Cleveland's now won 4 of their last 5. Now, I'm going to put Cleveland's offensive numbers on the screen, and I want you to look at them with this context. I want you to look at them in comparison to where they were earlier in the season. So if you look at their numbers from the last 26 games, yeah, they still don't look great, but compared to where they were for the first 35 games, it's night and day difference. I mean, for the first big chunk of the season, this was the worst lineup in baseball. This is the worst offense in baseball, and it wasn't close. Dead last in every important category. They're still not a great lineup, but it's an improvement. That being said, they're going to need to improve more because Christian Javier has just been a monster recently. One of the hottest pitchers in baseball. And look, just to add to that, he's got great career numbers against Cleveland. They're just lifetime 6 of 36 off him. That's a 136 average and a 411 OPS. These guys have had almost 0 success against Christian Javier. But the thing is, the way this Guardians team is built, they don't need the bats to be explosive. Because look at the numbers from the pitching staff. This is in the last 30 days. They're top 10 in ERA, WOBA, WHIP, and FIP. And this isn't just the starting pitchers, this is the bullpen included. Teams just don't score a lot of runs on the Guardians. Logan Allen's on the mound. He's having a great season, and being a lefty, I don't hate this spot for him. Look at the Houston Astros offensive splits here against righties and lefties. Definitely a drop off in the power numbers. They're still a good lineup against lefties, but they're a dangerous lineup against righties. They're kind of just average, slightly above average when it comes to lefties. Also, not one member of the Houston Astros lineup has ever taken an at-bat against Logan Allen before. I mean, kind of obvious there. He's a rookie. So I really think Logan Allen can pitch a good game. And one last thing, the Guardians have a huge bullpen advantage in this one. Over the last 14 days, Cleveland is 6th in WOBA allowed. Houston all the way back at 26. So a huge bullpen edge for Cleveland there. With Houston just finishing up a series in Toronto, having to fly all the way to Cleveland with no days off, I think the Guardians can sneak this one here. I'm looking at the Cleveland money line at plus 110, and I'm also looking at the under at 8. I'll let you know what I end up betting on the live show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Next game. Nats at Braves. Josiah Gray pitching against AJ Smith-Sauver. He's making his first career start, rookie. Braves open up as minus 195 favorites. Total opens up at 9.5. Obviously, there's no pitcher data for Smith-Sauver, so no model here. I want to back the Braves here, man. I really do, but I think I might be a bit priced out on this one. Josiah Gray going for the Nats, obviously a beast on the road, and yes, he did get rocked by the Braves in his first start of this season, but over the course of his career, he's got great career numbers against the Braves, especially on the road in Atlanta. But at the very same time, the Braves bats are on an absolute warpath right now. Over the last 2 weeks, they're 3rd in WRC+, 2nd in isolated power, 3rd in average. These are numbers against right-handed pitching, by the way. Kind of tough to fade the production coming out of this Braves lineup. Now let's talk about this kid Smith-Sauver for a second. Obviously, like I said, rookie making his first career start. This kid went from single A plus all the way to the majors already. It's not even the all-star break. And look at this kid's numbers in the minor leagues. A 109 ERA, 164 OBA, an 094 whip through 7 starts in the minor leagues. Want to know how he pitches against lefties? Check this out. In the minors this year, total batters faced 51 lefties, right? They combined to go 6 of 51. That's a 117 average. He struck out 22 of them, walked 0. 22-0 strikeout to walk rate. The reason I bring up those numbers specifically, Washington regularly starts 6 left-handed bats in their day-to-day lineup. So he might dominate this Nats lineup. Also, we have to mention that the Braves bullpen is beginning to heat back up, looking like the Braves bullpen we saw early in the season. They're 4th in ERA and WOBA over the last 2 weeks. The Nats team total is set at 3.5 with plus money offered for the under. The Nats have gone under this total in 6 of their last 9. Remember, I was raving about the Nationals lineups 4 or 5 days ago. They were red hot. They cooled off quick. They've gone under, like I said, they've gone under the total 6 of the last 9 games and 6 of the last 9 games on the road. So I'm thinking I might play Washington team total under 3.5. You can get that at plus 114 on Barstool right now. But I also might say screw it and take Atlanta minus 1.5. You can get that at plus 105. Next game. Marlins at White Sox. Yuri Perez pitching against Dylan Cease. White Sox open up as pretty solid favorites here, minus 150. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got a slight lead on the Marlins. After 5 innings, 3-1 Fish. Final score 4-2 Fish. This is the most simple description for a bet ever. Let's throw the bullpens out and just talk about the first 5 innings. Yuri Perez is better than Dylan Cease. Right now, overall, I mean, there's no question. Yuri Perez is pitching better. He's better than Dylan Cease. So yes, I will give the starting pitching edge to the Marlins. And then if we look at the bats, this is a righty-righty pitching matchup. In the last 14 days, Marlins are 7th against righties. White Sox are 27th. Marlins first 5 money line at plus 110, of course. Next game. Oakland at Milwaukee. Louis Medina pitching against Adrian Hauser. Milwaukee opens up as minus 205 favorites. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at a 2-2 tie after 5 innings. Final score 3-3. So no real lead on either side there. This is a pass for me. I will not back the Milwaukee Brewers as a minus 200 favorite with Adrian Hauser on the mound. Just won't do it. Certainly won't do it against the Oakland lineup that all of a sudden exploded the last 2 games against Pittsburgh. And I also don't feel comfortable betting the Oakland A's either. So I'm just skipping this one. Next game. Reds at Cardinals. Ben Lively pitching against Jordan Montgomery. Cardinals open up as minus 210 favorites. Why? Don't get that at all. We'll get to that in a second. Total opens up at 8. And let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, huge lean on the Reds. And I think this is spot on, by the way. Spoilers. After 5 innings, 7-0 Cincinnati. Final score 10-0 Cincinnati. Is this even a discussion? I mean, this seems like a pretty easy decision to me. Cardinals have Jordan Montgomery on the mound, and we'll get to his numbers in a second. But first, he's a lefty, so let's pull up the Cincinnati Reds' recent numbers against left-handed pitching, because this is just insanity. Now, I know Clayton Kershaw did just pitch a good game against the Reds, but let's look at their numbers over the last 30 days. Cincinnati, over the last 30 days, is batting .321 as a team against left-handed pitching. That's first in Major League Baseball. They're also top 5 in slugging, OPS, and WRC+. The Reds are smashing lefties. And if we take a look at Jordan Montgomery's numbers at home in St. Louis this year, not exactly an all-star season. This isn't Clayton Kershaw. I mean, I think the Reds should smash this guy. And to take it even further, pitching for the Reds, Ben Lively is having an unbelievable season. Look at his numbers on the year. 3.03 ERA, 2.02 OBA, a 1.01 whip. Dude's got a 1.01 whip on the season. Reds, no hesitation. Reds first 5 money line plus 155. Reds full game money line plus 160 next game. Padres at Rockies. Yu Darvish pitching against Austin Gomer. Padres open up as heavy road favorites here, minus 260. Total opens up at 11. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at a 4-4 tie after 5 innings. Final score 6-5 Padres. I can't even place a bet on a Padres game right now. Look at the variance in these run totals from the Padres. These are their last 8 games. This is the Padres run total. Ready? 9-1, 10-1, 6-1, 5-1, 10. How the hell could we possibly try to predict the Padres game right now? This is a roller coaster ride, this offense. And then add on the fact that it's at Coors Field, the most unpredictable ballpark to bet, in my opinion. And it's Austin Gomer pitching, another dude who's on a roller coaster of a year. It's not even worth me trying. Next game. Mariners at Angels. Castillo pitching against Shohei Ohtani. We got a real good pitching matchup here. Division rivals. Angels open up as minus 120 favorites. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, 3-1 Angels after 5 innings. Final score 6-2 Angels. So solid lean on LA there. So what can we say about the Mariners bats right now against righties? They are breaking barriers in terms of struggling. Over the last 10 days, Seattle sits 28th in WRC+, 28th in WOBA, 26th in isolated power against right-handed pitching. The last 5 righty starters to face the Mariners, 29 and 2/3 innings, an 0.30 ERA. You heard that correctly. An 0.30. The last 5 righty starters combined. An 0.54 whip. They're not even getting guys on base. The Mariners bats against righties are as dead as a lineup can be against righties. And now they go on the road to Los Angeles to face Ohtani. Ohtani at home, obviously posting incredible numbers. That's not exactly breaking news. 2.31 ERA, 0.95 whip. On top of that, he flat out owns the Mariners. Great career numbers against the Mariners. He's made 7 career starts against Seattle. He's 5-0 with a 1.63 ERA and an 0.93 whip. Again, owns the Mariners. The Mariners bats lifetime through 83 plate appearances, just a 4.95 OPS and a 1.79 batting average. No, there are no numbers that indicate the Mariners will hit Ohtani. I'm not saying they definitely won't, but everything points towards a shutout here. But Seattle does have Castillo pitching, and he's been great. He's been absolutely dealing recently. But if you look at his home away splits, I'm still willing to fade him in this spot on the road where he has been significantly worse. Also, he's facing an Angels lineup that has really solid history against them. Through 44 career at-bats, the Angels have a 10.36 OPS against Castillo combined, including 5 homers, and this is going to be their second time seeing him already this year. I think the Angels can score a few off him. Add on the fact that the Angels bats are rolling right now. They're 4th in WRC+, 4th in isolated power, 3rd in average. These are all numbers against right-handed pitching in the last 14 days. I think they shock some people and put up 2-3 runs on Castillo, like I said, and that should be plenty for Ohtani to seal the win here. Now, the second half of this game may be a little bit of a dice roll. Both of these bullpens have been pretty terrible, but Seattle's especially. They're bottom 3 in WOBA, ERA, this is the last 2 weeks. So in my eyes, the Angels have the starting pitching edge, the slight bullpen edge, and a massive edge in the bats. This is a no-brainer. Give me the Angels money line at -130 next game. Cubs at Giants. Marcus Stroman pitching against Anthony DeSclafani. I always mess his name up. This opens up as a pick'em, -110 across. Total opens up at 7, all the way down at 7. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 2-0 Giants after 5 innings. Final score 6-0 Giants. So heavy lean on San Francisco there. So in case you haven't heard, Marcus Stroman is on an absolute rampage right now. Look at the numbers through his last 4 starts. The Cubs are 4-0 in those games, first of all. 0.93 ERA and 0.69 whip. It's not even giving up base runners, let alone scoring runs. Really tough to fade the Cubs with this guy on the mound. And he's pitched against in those 4 starts I was talking about, pitched against the Padres, the Rays, the Mets, and the Phillies. So he's not like he's pitching against the White Sox or Cleveland. He's dominating formidable lineups here, which is why I'm not sure how much these next set of numbers worry me. Look at the Giants lineup against right-handed pitching in the last 14 days. They're hot, top 10 in every offensive category. Cannot deny that the Giants are hitting righties right now. Maybe this is the lineup that knocks Stroman off his warpath here, but it's tough to say. But I think the more interesting matchup is on the other side with DeSclafani against the Cubs lineup, because DeSclafani's been absolutely awful. He's got decent numbers on the season because he got off to a hot start, but look at his last 6 starts. 1-4 with a 6.12 ERA. Those are some awful looking numbers. But he hit the right-handed pitcher lottery. A home start against the Cubs. The Cubs lineup against righties might truly be the worst thing I've ever seen right now. Look at these numbers over the last 14 days. They are dead last by a solid margin in every single major offensive category against righties. They're batting 164 as a team against righties. I like the Giants here. I can't believe I'm fading Stroman as well as you've been pitching, but I like the Giants. Now, the reason I'm going to wait to bet this one, I'm not sure how I'm going to bet this yet. The Giants bullpen also has a significant edge over the Cubs, like significant. Giants bullpen has been number 1 in baseball the last 2 weeks. Cubs are in the bottom 6 or 7, but the Giants bullpen is taxed. They used their bullpen in each of the last 2 nights heavy in Coors Field, and that's another thing. The Giants bats coming out of the altitude in Coors Field without a day off. I hate betting teams in that spot. I like the Giants, but there's a real good chance I end up just playing an under here. I'll let you know on the live show. If anything changes with any of these bets I just named in this video, I will let you know on Twitter, so give me a follow there if you're interested. Like I said earlier, live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Toast is joining. Prop Beaver will be on there. We'll go through all 15 games. We'll talk about the line movement, and we'll give out final picks. 4 p.m. Eastern time. Hope to see you in the comments. If you want the final tickets we put out, which has the top bets, actually top bets 3 in a row, plus 150 Rockies first 5 today, parlay of the day, that kind of stuff, head over to KyleKirms.com. MLB Friday, my favorite day to bet baseball. Remember to bet responsibly. Let's have ourselves a good one, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.